Alright, so we are back once again, and today we are going to be playing, I'm going to be demonstrating a pretty close ranked game. I say close in the way that, basically two atoms are pretty close together in any material on Earth, so yeah, you could say close, but that just doesn't really do justice to just how close this game really is. So to start off, we do the idiotic thing of rushing a cap in the daring when the enemy has two radars. Luckily the Smolensk gets one shot, like all Smolensks really should. But on the enemy team there is a Salem and there is a Des Moines. And one thing you don't want to do when you play against a Salem and a Des Moines, when there's only three caps on the map and they're all closely packed together, is you don't want to rush a cap immediately at the start of the game. Luckily I do this, and as you see on the minimap, the Des Moines just happens to push up or show up on the minimap on the other side of the map, which means I effectively get this cap for free. And if you continue looking at the minimap and, not at the actual gameplay, you'll see that the Yamato is pretty much isolated on this side of the map. Now sure, their Z52 is basically in B at this point, and that really only benefits us because I have a line of sight. I'm backed up by both the Minotaur, Yamato, Conqueror, and there is basically a bit of an island between myself and the Yamato, which allows me to defend myself or, avoid too much damage. And we end up getting, I think, about 7k all said. Yeah, about 8k all said on EZ52, which is a nice trade. I'll take it. Can't complain. We do get the cap also, which tilts things ever in our favor. Now at this point, if you look at their side of the map, the enemy team's side of the map, you'll see that they're all basically squished into 4 squares on the map, which is, again, not something you want to do. When you basically occupy one very small part of the map, you're just setting yourself up for crossfires. And basically, what's happening to the Yamato tends to happen fairly often. He decides to, or they decide to, support their team, try and not all rush one side, try and not create a lemming train, but you just get isolated, and before you know it, you're overpushed. The enemy DD's right on top of you, and they're basically 6 kilometers away, landing torpedoes on you over and over and over again, which is not a great situation to be in. That being said, we're going to have a little bit of fun with the Yamato. Again, at this point, I'm thinking in my head, this game's effectively over. We have the Yamato shooting, well, I don't think even the Yamato has line of sight on this Yamato right in front of us. But the Minotaur is, and the Conqueror is lighting him up. We land a couple of torpedoes. So in my mind, with the Yamato's guns turned away, we can basically turn into a gunboat to an extent at this point, and very slowly start farming them down. And again, I wouldn't be shooting here if there was enemy ships in range that, could cover for the Yamato. But that being the case, with the Z52 in A, with the Salem on the other side of the map, with the Des Moines on the other side of the map, and their 2 battleships on the other side of the map, it makes sense for me now just to light up the Yamato. Set a couple of fires, and just get the ball rolling on, elongating that advantage and try and just, maximize damage potential. So that's what we're going to do. You see our Yamato pushing into B cap like all good tanky battleships should do. Yeah. But again, you see this very, very often in ranked games. You got the clustering effect on the other side of the map for the enemy team, and what it means is that, sure, there's strength in numbers, but, you're just gonna get devastated one by one. Luckily, our team does recognize that on the other side of the map, that they are weak, and you can see the Des Moines pulling back, the Kremlin already turned around and, retreating, and generally this is the best thing you can do. When the enemy team has a strong side of the map, you're not going to be, standing your ground and, one-shotting them. No. You need to just slowly back away, get out of the danger zone, and everything will generally play out much better if you do that, as opposed to, just thinking your ship's a literal tank and tanking 2 million potential damage and doing 50k. Not that that's ever happened to me. But a long time ago. Obviously, definitely not last week. So, with that being said, the Minotaur is pushing into B, which means we are about to go up 2 caps to 1. And again, at this point, one thing you want to be wary of when you're playing a destroyer that has actual gunpowder, you want to be really aware of when you can shoot and when you can afford to be detected. Not only in the sense of like avoiding enemy fire, but just maximizing the amount of damage you can do in destroyers is probably up there in one of the most important things you can do when actually playing a destroyer. And right now you're going to see a little bit of a mistake from myself. I still am in the mindset that it's just me and the Yamato, when I should be taking into consideration the minimap and noticing that there is a Salem and I am drifting over to the other side of the map, where again things like the Salem, things like the Des Moines are going to be in that range of like 12, 11, 10 kilometer range where they can actually hit me and do a significant amount of damage. Luckily though, the island was between myself and the Salem. A little bit of luck there, but you know, we'll take those things. And yeah, job done on the Yamato. Now this is going to be really interesting because we are up 3 ships to 1, and you're probably wondering how the hell do we throw this game? Well, you know, as World of Warships tends to do, it throws spanners in the wrench. Spanners in the wrench? I don't even know what that means. There's a saying there, but I'm just not smart enough right now to figure it out. So we do smoke up here. And we're going to try and get a couple of fires in the Yamato here. Again, realistically, we're only really trying to force out the damage gun. There's not all that much of a hope here to take him down. We're just trying to chunk and chunk and chunk, like most ships, or most of the games in the Daring. Again, your gunpowder isn't really going to 100 to 0 ships. You're not a Kirikaze. But getting constant fires, just constantly churning out damage, is the main aim of the game. That being said, if you look at the minimap, again, you can see the Salem, he's going to keep pushing that same direction he is pushing, which puts me in a pretty precarious spot, shall we say, because he's going to keep pushing this way. And if you look, you see the Des Moines right here. And so, if the Salem had kept pushing this way, I had sat here, or sat here, it could have been very precarious, because if one of those ships' radars, I'm caught between the Salem firing down here, and then if I pushed out this way, the Des Moines firing this way. So it's better to avoid that situation completely and just getting out of that situation before it even happens. And this is why, you know, situational awareness is really important. Just like the Conqueror right here has such great situational awareness that he's going to rush straight ahead into a Yamato, flow broadside, and yeah, I'm glad you didn't get to see that. So, it's 3v3. We have 2 caps. Our team basically just eviscerated itself, and yeah. Now at this point, what are we thinking? We're thinking, okay, we have 2 caps. The Salem at this point is probably going to get C, or if he feels like it, he's probably going to be capable of pushing into B. One thing I know I can't do is take on a Des Moines or take on a Salem. So that only leaves one ship to try and deal with and try and, you know, extend my advantage, and that is the Yamato. Big, clunky, torpedo prone, we can deal with the Yamato. And with him only being 9 kilometers away, it makes the perfect target. Now again, I'm not really sure what the Salem's plan here. It looks like he's pushing into C, and it looks like he is going to get that cap, because I don't think the Minotaur is capable of stopping him, realistically. Because if the Minotaur basically needs to use smoke, with the Kremlin positioned behind that island, he can't get a good shot on the Salem, and for me to be capable of spotting a Salem, I'm opening myself up to radar, which again is unfortunate, but it just can't be done. So that's why the main focus is on the Yamato. We do throw out some torpedoes, blind fire, but with the game in the state it is in currently, the Yamato has to kind of make these plays. They're down 2 caps, they're down like 200 points. We only need 250 to win the game. And I don't mind taking a salvo here. I have 11k HP. Like realistically, he's not going to get 9 overbends. And I can afford to take this damage at the expense of getting a kill on the Yamato, which we end up doing. So, good news for us. Now, at this point, I'm thinking in my logical brain that Des Moines has pushed through A into B, because, again, they're desperate for caps, so he's not going to be out on this flank, and I'm going to have free time to turn around and get out of this position, re-angle myself, and start focusing the Salem without the pressure from the Des Moines. But, as luck would have it, and as random things happen in World of Warships, the Des Moines decides to go the complete opposite way, and the Minotaur sadly gets caught between a rock and a hard place. So, got that analogy right, I think. Anyways, awkwardness aside, all guns turn towards the Salem. Now, I don't know which radar this is. It could be the Salem, it could be the Des Moines. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter, because at this point I'm detected anyways. And if our Kremlin goes down, or if I go down, it's effectively GG. So in that sense, we're just trying to maximize damage. Frankly, here, the first team to get a kill and the other ship is able to survive with a decent amount of HP, they end up winning the game. So already it's starting to get really close. Now if you're observing there, that was just the Salem radar. Because the Des Moines in range and the radar sign just popped up. So the first one was the Des Moines radar, the second one was the Salem radar. And at this point, with the Des Moines on 14k, our main focus is on him. But I just basically made a mistake here. My situational awareness isn't as good as it should be, and at this point I should be more looking at the Salem, but I was not aware of just how low he truly was, which means that although we get the kill on the Des Moines here, we probably could have made this game a lot less closer than it actually was. With the Salem, he's going to heal up. And we're eventually going to get the kill on the Des Moines. But not before the Kremlin unfortunately goes down. Oh, I keep spoiling the game. I should probably not do that, but what are you going to do? Now at this point, again, if you look at the minimap, we have 2 caps, they have 1. No, we have 1 cap, they have 2 caps. But the Salem is going to push into B. What that means is that we have to be aggressive here. We have to push. There's no other way about it, realistically. Now, the Kremlin could make things very easy for us and one-shot the Salem and do 10k, but unfortunately, that's just not the case. And he puts me in a pretty precarious situation. Not by his fault, just, you know, the luck of the RNG. And right now, I'm praying that the Salem doesn't have a heal. Because if he has a heal, it's going to make this 1v1 a hell of a lot more, shall we say, risky. And so, there's only one thing for it. Now, you could make arguments that I could, you know, sneak my way into C, sneak my way into A, try and get the cap. But if you look at the points, that's just not really a viable strategy, because by the time I get into another cap, and even cap it, they will have completely won the game. So luckily the Salem is on 100 HP, but he presses the heal button and starts slowly creeping up in terms of HP. And I'm dodging, diving, ducking for my life. And, well, let's see who comes out on top. I'll leave you to watch the rest. Until next time, see ya.
Enemy cruiser sunk.